What's up, everyone? Online Prep Coach Alex here, talking about IGF LR3 really quickly. So with IGF LR3, this is actually really interesting. First of all, let's zoom back and understand how growth factor production actually happens. Whether it be with growth hormone or anything else, we have all this interaction going on in the liver. In the liver, it actually has crosstalk with transcription factors, things like estrogen and all these other things to basically look at the body and say, okay, what's going on? What do we need to recover? Okay, let's produce those. So then we get that ultimate spit out of growth factor production based on the actual local environment. So what this means right here is that if we were a high training myotrauma-based induced environment where myology is taking a beating, then guess what growth factors are going to be produced? The ones that actually are going to be conducive to myocytes. What if we just broke our leg and we're resting, we're just sitting on the sidelines? What kind of growth factors are going to be produced? The ones that are going to be soft tissue, the ones that are going to be actually recovering that broken limb. So that's basically how that works. Now, whenever we actually introduce a peptide like LR3, first of all, I do not believe, after using it for a while now with a bunch of people, I actually like using it as, I'll say, not actually for growth purposes, not for actual glucose disposal purposes, but actually using it like a modified super insulin. What I mean by that is we can drive a lot of actual recovery and glycogen storage via the actual, so if you look at the actual molecule there, it does have a leucine alteration, which changes its duration, and originally they wanted that to make this work better, basically floating in the bloodstream more, bind more, do all this kind of fun stuff. It didn't actually do that very well in bodybuilders and hypertrophy-based athletes. What we end up seeing is you don't get a lot of actual growth out of it, you get everything else. So secondarily, I see this being a driver for recovery. So kind of being a slight, we'll say long-term growth aid, kind of being a slight glucose disposal aid, but really using IGF LR3 as a actual short-term momentary recovery modality. So kind of like if we were to look at glutathione, actually, that's something that's taking care of systemic stress. This is taking care of systemic growth factors in terms of it. Again, it doesn't actually work that way. It's not doing all that fun stuff because it is IGF LR3, so it's a modified growth factor. But what we were able to do is drive up localized and momentary recovery. So I see this being used more like a traditional insulin, but I'll say more on the recovery side because of its growth factor properties and how it actually works. But I do not see this as being the thing that's going to get you to grow crazy. So I don't see this being any comparison to IGF at all. I feel like IGF LR3 is actually, say insulin's here and IGF LR3 is here, actually just IGF's here. I feel like it's right in the middle because it obviously acts like some growth factors, so obviously acts like some insulin, but mainly I see this being the main recovery modality given its alterations and given how it actually works in practice. This is not the drug that's going to get you big overnight, but this can be the drug that you use maybe once, twice a week on your recovery days to actually drive up restoration or even a post-workout setting. So dosages are going to depend on the individual, but overall I see IGF LR3 really being an actual recovery modality more than anything else.